Chapter 20. The Princess of Dawn. When he first stepped foot in the city of Volantis, Tyrion was intent on drinking and whoring his way through the city. Right now it was the second time he was going to enter the city, but with different priorities. "The city is covered in black smoke," said Varys with a carefully blank expression on his face. Tyrion eyed the spymaster from the corner of his eyes. He was sitting on a barrel to get a better view of the docks where the ship was about to make port. The Queen must have faced stiff resistance from the city's defenders. It is only natural she would have burnt them down. Not to mention the high walls of the city is critical to its defense. "Take that out and we have the advantage," said Tyrion, while secretly amused that Varys was still fixated on his fear of spreading fire in the city. It was a genuine concern and would be counterproductive to their efforts if such a tragedy occurred, but Varys was overly paranoid in his opinion. "Death by fire is the most horrible way to die," said Varys, staring intently at the smoke-covered city. "I don't disagree, but dragons are a valuable asset and our queen will only employ them during wartime," said Tyrion, assuaging any fears that may plague the Master of Whispers. "I hope you are right for all of our sakes, else we will be stuck in Essos fighting every major city," said Varys. Tyrion merely shook his head in exasperation. Perhaps the long voyage and the absence of Varys' little birds may have impacted his friend more than he imagined, Tyrion mused. He let out a sigh of relief when the ship finally managed to dock on the port without any issue. He could see the unsullied soldiers under Grey Worm had already secured the ports, and was waiting for their arrival. Tyrion carefully made his way out of the ship, standing closely by Varys' side surrounded by a few unsullied guards. He was a little tipsy with all the wine he had consumed, but his mind was as sharp as ever. "Did we suffer any losses?" he asked, turning to Grey Worm, who was as usual standing in his classic rigid posture. "I lost 20 men in taking the ports. More than 70 are injured and will be out of fighting for a few days. 2 ships were lost and a few of them will need major repairs if they are to sail again," said Grey Worm dutifully. "These are acceptable losses. I am surprised we only suffered a few casualties. In a siege it is nominally agreed that the defenders will always have the initial advantage," said Tyrion. "The Queen's dragons scared the Sellswords and other defenders of the city to flee. Those that stayed are behind the walls of the city," said Grey Worm, pointing at the large gates of the city that remained closed in the distance. "So you have control of the ports?" asked Varys. "The Unsullied control the ports in the Queen's name," was the short reply from Grey Worm. Tyrion had the distinct impression that the captain of Unsullied disliked Varys, although it was hard to tell as Grey Worm rarely displayed any emotion. "Any word from our queen?" asked Tyrion, shaking away unwanted thoughts from his head. "We saw the Queen burning these towers and walls of the city. But the city remains closed to us," said Grey Worm, pointing at the blackened, burned-out remains of towers and walls of the city. "If the Queen is here, then the Dothraki and Ser Barristan must be to the east. We must send a few scouts to ensure the Queen's army is at the other gate," suggested Tyrion. "I have already sent a few men," said Grey Worm with a nod in his direction. "Then I suggest we dig in and prepare to siege the city. It won't be long before the city surrenders," said Tyrion, taking in the sight of blackened walls and towers of the ancient city. Just like the last time he was in this city, he didn't like the smell or the heat. Marine was not much better, but he stayed mostly within the confines of the Great Pyramid, shielded from the hot eastern sun. After the long voyage around the Valerian Peninsula and his somewhat short stay on the pirate island, he was most eager to steady himself in a proper land with a proper roof over his head. "Ser Jorah, glad you could join us. I must say it is an impressive accomplishment that you have achieved here. I am sure songs will be sung about you and this battle," said Varys as a way of greeting the knight from the Bear Islands. Tyrion was amused by Varys' efforts in trying to sort out an amicable relationship with their resident bear, with little success so far. The Northman was still holding a grudge at the spider, although Tyrion thought it stupid. Actions based on emotions rarely bared any fruit in his opinion and experience. I rarely did anything, Lord Varys. If you had observed the battle, then you would know that it was the sailors and the Unsullied that won the day, said Ser Jorah, casting a superficial glance at his own severed arm. Don't sell yourself short, Ser Jorah. Tyrion smoothly interjected to not let the two converse too much. He knew it would be a slippery slope, and that was the last thing they needed right now. Our queen wouldn't have left you in charge of her fleet if she didn't trust in your abilities. And you have proven the wisdom in our queen's choice. Tyrion took note that the Bear Knight was content with his compliment. The Bear Knight was hopelessly in love with the queen, and he knew how to deal with men like Jorah and keep them productive. Delivering a compliment in a way that it was perceived to be coming from the queen herself was the trick to keeping the Northern Knight happy. Keeping one's allies happy meant there will be less discord within the group, especially in wartime. The battle is not over yet. Volantis can keep itself supplied from the Rhoyne. Our fleet can't be used to block the river, and even if we did, it will be wasted effort, said Ser Jorah, and Tyrion couldn't agree more with that assessment. The city of Volantis is split into perfectly two halves by the Rhoyne River. The two halves are connected together by a drawbridge across the mouth of the Rhoyne. Without control of the city, the Unsullied could not access the bridge and provide access for the fleet to engage the remaining Volantene fleet. They could destroy the bridge, but Tyrion was against that idea. He was of the opinion that the city would give in with a serious invasion undergoing. It was only a matter of time before the magisters of the city would cave in and ask for terms. We could always destroy the bridge, suggested Grey Worm. It won't come to that. Politics in Volantis is fickle, and by now the merchant class of the city would be clamoring for immediate surrender. It's only a matter of time. Tyrion trailed off as he saw an Unsullied rider approaching them on a horse. Grey Worm was quick to engage in a fast-paced conversation with the rider. The entire conversation was in Bastardist Valyrian, which Tyrion found hard to follow. The queen has laid siege to the city from the east. She and the Dothraki blocked the Valyrian road, said Grey Worm, to the relief of everyone. The queen also asked for your presence in her camp. Tyrion frowned at Grey Worm curiously. Why? He asked. The queen says she needs you by her side in meeting a delegation from the city. The magisters of the city have asked for a parley, explained Grey Worm in his usual grave tone. Now that is some good news, said Varys, giving him a look that screamed start packing. Barristan hated the Dothraki. He hated their persistent screaming, their barbaric fights, rituals, customs, language, their cruelty, and if he thought hard enough he could list another 1,000 reasons. Despite all that, he would concede the barbarians know how to handle a horse properly. They were also fearsome warriors, but it galled him to fight by the side of these barbarians. The few that followed the queen from the beginning were bearable. They were of a civilized sort, and he hardly saw any need to find faults in them. While they were no followers of the Seven and had a bare minimum of virtue in them, they at least followed the queen's orders. But the recent addition of 20,000 strong Dothraki screamers was as barbaric and cruel as their reputation claimed. When the Dothraki had first besieged the city of Volantis, a lot of non-combatants were caught outside the walls. The queen had taken to the skies to take care of the defenses of the city. Without her presence on the ground, the Dothraki had killed unarmed civilians indiscriminately. Many women and children lost their lives in this attack, and he blamed himself for their deaths. He was just one man, and he could hardly control the vices of thousands of barbarians. He could have done so with a Westerosi army, or at least limited the depravity shown by men on the battlefield. But here, surrounded by a horde of barbarians in a foreign land, it was nigh impossible. All he could do was to punish the worst offenders, which is exactly what he was doing at the moment. He took a deep breath and swung his sword, cutting off a rope that tumbled support under the legs of the criminals. Those who violated the orders of the queen hung on the rope, flailing for quite some time, but in the end, death greeted all of them. Watching these wretched men hung to death reminded him of a conversation he had with the queen in Meereen. I will answer injustice with justice." Those were the words of his queen, and he was happy that she had seen to it that justice will be delivered today. She had not hesitated in punishing those that were needlessly cruel to unarmed civilians despite the state of war that existed with the free city of Volantis. It was the mark of a good leader to stand by their words. He just hoped that the queen remained as she was when she landed on Westeros. He had no delusions about what would happen when they make land on his homeland. It will be a war of great scale, but one that was necessary in his opinion. "This will not bring back those who have died unnecessarily," said the queen with a hard stare at those that were hung. "No, your grace," he agreed as he dipped his head in her direction. "But this will serve as a warning for those who act with no care to your orders." "I hope so, and yet I know the Dothraki. They will not change their ways that easily, Ser Barristan," said Daenerys, not taking her eyes off the swinging bodies before she made her way to her tent. Barristan was quick to follow his queen, being her ever dutiful shadow. "It was wise of you to decide not to take the Dothraki on the ships. Lord Tyrion had warned me beforehand that it would be very costly and dangerous to make such a journey. 20,000 Dothraki on ships would mean I will have to transport 20,000 horses and the necessary supplies as well. With the distance we have to cover, and the costs involved in such a journey would be absolutely crippling," said Daenerys. Barristan couldn't agree more, and he thanked the Seven that these barbarians won't be setting foot on the Seven Kingdoms. The Unsullied he had no problem with, as they are free warriors fighting for the queen of their free will, and they obeyed the queen's orders to the letter. He knew the men personally, and he found them to be well disciplined. His countrymen would undoubtedly find the Unsullied as lesser men, but that was their problem. He was sure the Unsullied won't go around and kill people for pleasure, and that was all that he cared about. The war that Daenerys Targaryen would wage would be a just war. A war in response to the despots and insane rulers that occupied King's Landing and the Iron Throne. As he neared the tent by the queen's side, he held out the flaps for his queen to enter first. "My queen," greeted Missandei with a bow. "Lord Tyrion has yet to arrive?" asked Daenerys as she took a seat. The queen graciously allowed them leave to join her, and Barristan took a seat to the queen's right, while Missandei was sitting to her left. "Perhaps there was a delay in landing the ships, your grace?" he suggested, and that was the moment the Lannister decided to walk into the tent. "I was told that I was sorely needed," declared Tyrion as he gave a respectful nod to the queen before taking a seat himself. Barristan frowned at the disrespect shown by the Lannister, but he put that aside as the queen looked hardly offended. Besides, he had noticed that the queen preferred these meetings as informal as possible. So instead he decided to query the Lannister. "How fares the fleet, my lord?" asked Barristan, leaning in curiously, and so did the queen and Missandei. "Under Ser Jorah's command, the Volantene fleet on the seas are no more threat to us. For the moment the Long Bridge is inaccessible to us, and thus a portion of the Volantene fleet is safe in the waters of Royan. Other than that, the Unsullied have captured the major ports of the city, and Grey Worm is preparing to siege the city walls on your command," said Tyrion. All eyes now turned towards the queen, who mulled over this new information. "Ser Jorah and Grey Worm have done well, but for now we won't attack. Volantis wants a parley, and I am inclined to give one," said Daenerys, to which Barristan gave a silent nod of approval. "You are my advisor, so advise me, my lord." Tyrion took a moment to gather his thoughts before replying clearly and truly. "By now you have proven them that their high walls are not going to stop you from taking the city. If they have any sense they will surrender, but accept the surrender if only your demands are met," said Tyrion. "Then what shall be our demands?" asked Missandei. "Our demands will be reasonable and at the same time useful for her grace's campaign in Westeros," said Tyrion, and Barristan could feel the diplomatic approach from the Lannister was not all that welcome with the queen. "I want all the slaves to be set free. I will see this happen, else there will be nothing to discuss with the Volantene delegation," declared Daenerys, which made Barristan exchange a worried glance with the Lannister lordling. "Your Grace, you must understand the impossibility of that demand," Even if the Volantines accept our demand and set the slaves free, we can't enforce that freedom. The moment we leave the city, the slave trade will resume. Said Tyrion, you promised me slave trade will slowly die out, and now you are saying the opposite. Accused Daenerys, I did emphasize slowly. The trade won't die out in a week, or a month, or even a year. You have laid the seeds, but it takes time for the seed to grow into a tree. Similarly, it will take time for the idea of a free society to take root. Then what do you suggest we do? Asked Daenerys. Barristan could feel the queen was quite cross with Tyrion Lannister, and he hoped the dwarfed man was sensible enough to not provoke the queen needlessly. I suggest we free the slaves as you suggest, but take those who desire to journey to Westeros with us. Take a sizable portion of wealth from the slavers and use that to build a new future for those who journey with us. Suggested Tyrion, and in hindsight, Barristan thought that was a good plan. Although, he doubted the lords of Westeros would be happy to learn that foreigners are encroaching on their lands. Then there were expenses to be considered, but he admitted this was better than doing nothing. I don't like this plan very much, Lord Tyrion. You are assuming a few people and the wealth of slavers will remove slavery from the city, said Daenerys with a frown. The alternative is to hold the city indefinitely, Your Grace, and that would spell doom to our efforts to reach the Seven Kingdoms, said Barristan, fearing this discussion would reignite certain passions within the Queen. All of us applaud your compassion, Your Grace, but we have to face the reality of the situation. If we stay in Volantis, we will empower the slavers in Lys, Myr and Tyrosh to make common cause. The end result will be a war. In war, a lot of innocents will die. Do you want that, or will you place trust in the ability of the people of Volantis to choose their own destiny? Asked Tyrion. Barristan may have a certain dislike for the dwarf, but he could agree that Tyrion was a smart man. For that, he was thankful as the dwarf gave out sound advice in a disarming way. Lord Tyrion speaks true, Your Grace. Our actions in the city should see to empower the slaves and give them the tools to fight their masters. Just as we have faith in you, have a little faith in the people. Give the people the opportunity to gain their freedom by themselves, Barristan suggested. He was relieved to note that the Queen looked thoughtful. That was a good sign as any as far as he was concerned. Very well, he heard the Queen mutter. Barristan let out a sigh of relief when the Queen voiced her agreement. It was his hope that could live to see a Targaryen on the Iron Throne. Now that he knew there was a son of Rhaegar alive and well in Westeros, he was hoping he could atone for his sins. It didn't matter to him who among Daeron or Daenerys would sit the throne. He hoped the two of them will reach a cordial accord and perhaps even marry and unite their claims. So long as a Targaryen sits on the Iron Throne, he would be happy. Then only could he have peace. For almost an hour they sat in the tent discussing the possible terms they could enforce on Volantis. At the end of the hour, Barristan was feeling tired, and most of the discussion was now between the Queen and Tyrion Lannister. Fortunately, a messenger arrived announcing the arrival of the Volantine delegation. Vagan Roger found himself in a most undesirable position. He had no interest whatsoever to be present in the delegation sent to the Targaryen camp for negotiating a settlement. He had so far avoided any political entanglements that could threaten his family. But that was not to last. It took him by surprise when both the tigers and elephants seek his presence in the delegation. There was nothing he could say that would convince the two groups to leave him alone. Their hope was that he could somehow influence the Dragon Queen on the account of familial relations. Vagan was not so optimistic in the chances of influencing Daenerys Targaryen, and he made this known to his companions. Later he found himself disappointed that his concerns fell on deaf ears. So he went with full confidence that his presence would amount to nothing in this dialogue. This was why he was not surprised at the first demand from the Dragon Queen after introductions were over. You want an unconditional surrender from our ancient and noble city? Asked Gorbly's Antraries incredulously. Vagan wished no representatives from the Tigers would be present for this discussion, but no such luck. The haughty demeanor and ugly sneer on the face of Gorblis were dangerous, especially when the city was faced with an enemy that has the ability to turn it into a fiery hell. Are you incapable of understanding High Valerian Magister Anthrares? If so, I shall repeat myself in the common tongue. I demand an unconditional surrender of Volantis. I require the gates of the city to be opened for my armies. Anyone that posses a weapon in their arms will be treated as an enemy combatant. I require your army to disarm themselves and surrender to my army. Do this and you will be treated with dignity. Oppose me at your peril. One way or another I will make Volantis bend her knees before me," said Daenerys Targaryen. While he doubted Daenerys Targaryen could take the city that easily, the dragons up in the sky posed quite a threat. While he believed that the Dragon Queen would not burn the city to the ground, he refused to hide under assumptions when the safety of his family was at stake. Vagon took in the regal beauty of Daenerys Targaryen. If it was any other situation, he would have preferred to just sit here and stare into the beautiful vision the Targaryen Queen offered. But the sharp stare and rigid posture from the Dragon Queen made him sweat a little. The hot eastern sun had nothing on the intensity of hostility he could see in the Queen's eyes. This was no meek woman that he could manipulate with flowery words. Before Vagon sat a hardened ruler who knew her strengths and set herself against one of the oldest cities of the known world. Your Grace, surely you see prolonging hostilities between us is not in the interest of both our people. Can't we arrive at an equitable settlement that would satisfy both of us? Proposed Severin Aharis. Only someone with the elephants could make this discussion into one of the trade disputes, thought Vagon with some amusement in the confines of his mind. He gathered that this was better than the aggressive and brazen approach of the Tiger Party man. Do not portray yourself as the wrong party here, Magister. Your city started the hostilities when you attacked Meereen. You will forgive me when I say I shall finish it. Take my offer and surrender to me, else be destroyed and burn in your arrogance," said Daenerys Targaryen firmly. Vagon could feel the stare of his two companions. This let him know that it was time for him to break his silence. With a silent prayer offered to the gods of Valeria, he began. "Your Grace, I am a Rogaire. We are kin to you as your ancestor Viserys too took a Rogaire bride. The city of Volantis holds many of your kin within her walls. For the sake of blood we share and in memory of old Valeria, can't we come to peace? As children of Valeria, should we not embrace rather than fight?" Appealed Vagon, only to receive a scathing glare from the Dragon Queen. "You dare speak to me of familial ties? You and your wretched family who claims kinship with me were never there when House Targaryen needed you. Now that you have need of me, you dare speak of shared blood?" The Queen thundered, and she stood up from her seat facing Vagon and his two companions. "Here is my proposal, Magisters. Hear it now and hear it well. Return back to your city and open the gates. Welcome me and my army into the city with open arms. Surrender Volantis to me unconditionally, and I will promise mercy. Deny me and face dragon fire. You have time to make a decision till the sun sets. If you do not comply with my demands, then I will break the walls of your city. Then you will have fire and blood. This meeting is over and you have overstayed your welcome." Twin roars from the dragons followed that proclamation. Later that evening, Vagon bore witness to the gates of Volantis open to let the invading army inside its walls. While the Queen had made her threats, the dwarf Lannister had assured them that no Magisters or their family will be harmed. The dwarf had even managed to draw up a document to that effect with Daenerys Targaryen's signature. With this turn of events, the council was gathered and a vote was called in quick order. As usual, he watched all of this happen from the gallery of the council chambers. The vote was tipped in favor of surrender, and the defeat suffered by the city was consequently laid at the feet of the Tigers. The Maegor family was instrumental in dismantling the majority enjoyed by the Tigers. He could see why they were most eager for speeding up the Dragon Queen's journey. There was a certain interest for the Maegors to see the Dragon Queen smoothly sail to Westeros. He wondered how that would play out, but he was hardly interested in their affairs. Anyway, After the council ratified the surrender, everything went as speedily as possible. While some were keeping hope that Volantis could fight on, he knew it was a lost hope. Their fleet was savaged in the seas. Trade ships were not docking on the ports that were under enemy control. The Seldswords were deserting their city in droves as fear of dragons spread like wildfire. The defenders of the city were overwhelmed and ill-prepared to face another assault. Defeat was all but certain at this point. They could only hope that Daenerys Targaryen would keep her word and be merciful in her dealings. The slaves rejoiced and danced on the streets. The red temples were lit up with 100 oil lamps celebrating the arrival of dragons and Daenerys Targaryen. In stark contrast, the part of the city where the purebloods called home was deathly silent. Surrounded by that silence, he could hear a faint chant that was picking up momentum with each passing second. Azor Ahai! Azor Ahai! Azor Ahai! Volantis, he realized, has finally fallen. The only consolation was that it was to a dragon lord that it fell. He distinctly remembered the claims made by the Red Priest Benero in the Red Temple. He thought it a fluke, but as the red sun in the sky slowly sets, and the Targaryen queen marching into the city, he gave those words some thought. When the red sun sets, the Princess of Dawn will be unveiled. A red dawn awaits her arrival, for the night is dark and full of terrors. Samwell let out a sigh of relief as he finally finished penning a letter for Jon. It contained all the information he could gather about the locations of dragonglass deposits in Westeros. He had also gathered all the maps locating these deposits, but those he would have to deliver personally or by courier. The letter that Jon sent him a few months back had asked him to seek the Citadel's aid in locating dragonglass deposits. His friend had also asked him to collect information on the large deposit of dragonglass and dragonstone. Sam had almost forgotten about dragonstone and was reminded of this because of Jon's letter. After receiving the letter, he has been poring over books to find the locations of dragonglass deposits in Westeros. He had asked around among the archmasters, and they only directed him to some variety of books which he was all too happy to devour in pursuit of knowledge. By now he felt all those sleepless nights has borne fruit of his labor. In his search, he had found 2 locations in Skagos, one in the north, one in Dragonstone, and another possible location in the Vale. The dragonglass source in the north was easy enough to access as it was in the lands that belonged to the mountain clans. All other locations would be hard for the Night's Watch to access. So he had included every tidbit of detail he could find from the records in his letter. Now, it was just a matter of sending this letter to his friend, and dragonglass weapons could be forged to face the White Walkers. With this thought in mind, he cleared his desk in the small room he was afforded in the Citadel. After rearranging all the books and scrolls, he was about to leave for the Ravenery, but was blocked by Archmaester Marwyn. "Archmaester, I was not expecting you." Sam stuttered in surprise, as this was the first time an Archmaester had visited him. Usually, he would have to take permission in advance to get a brief audience with an Archmaester of the Citadel. "None usually do, my dear fellow. I came to you to speak on a matter of great importance," said Archmaester Marwyn as he invited himself into Sam's room, closing the door behind him on the way. Sam was intrigued by the Archmaester, whom everyone in the Citadel referred to as Marwyn the Mage. In the Citadel there was no higher insult than that, as the studies regarding the higher mysteries are regarded useless. He just wondered why the Archmaester was interested in him. As far as he knew, he had hardly shown any interest in higher mysteries save for his search for any records of the Long Night and the White Walkers. "How may I be of service, Archmaester?" asked Samwell, setting aside his concerns for the moment. "You have served in the Night's Watch, have you not, young Samwell?" asked Marwyn. "Of course, Archmaester." "Good. Then you must be aware of one Jon Snow." Marwyn looked on expectantly, and it took a moment for Sam to clear the fog in his mind. "Of course, Archmaester. Jon Snow is the current Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, and a good friend." "What is the matter, Archmaester?" he asked curiously. "Lord Commander, you say? Tell me, do you know who Jon Snow is?" asked Marwyn. John is the natural-born son of Eddard Stark, the late Lord of Winterfell, and the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. I voted to make John the leader of the Night's Watch," said Sam, now even more confused by the line of questioning by the Archmaester. Perhaps there was some truth to the rumors that dabbling in higher mysteries would make one lose their faculties, Sam thought. "Well, you will be surprised to know that your friend is no longer the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. Jon Snow rode out from the Wall with a wildling army and defeated the Lords of the North. He has taken back Winterfell from the Boltons," said Marwyn. Sam took this piece of news with utter bewilderment. Words could not express the surprise he felt, because he could never imagine Jon doing something like this. The last time he saw his friend, he was trying to secure the aid of the northern houses to fight the White Walkers coming from beyond the Wall. The fact that Jon had somehow managed to make the wildlings fight for him was a surprising development, but one that he was happy about. Knowing what was out there lurking in the shadows, increased cooperation with the wildlings was a good sign. "Are you sure, Archmaester? Jon would not have attacked the Northern Lords for no reason. Last I saw of Jon, he was trying to secure their aid to face the enemy from beyond the Wall." Sam made his doubts known to the elderly man. "It is clear as day what has transpired in the north, young Samwell. But what is surprising is that your friend has declared himself as Daeron Targaryen, the son of Rhaegar Targaryen born to Lyanna Stark. Most interestingly, your friend rides a dragon which he used to decimate the Bolton army." Sam's eyes widened in disbelief at the ludicrous claim made by the Archmaester. At first, he thought the Archmaester was just making a joke, but the seriousness he could see on the face of the older man stumped him. You are not," he trailed off uncertainly, struggling to form coherent thoughts as his mind spun with different possibilities, and what this information might mean for the wider Westeros. "I am not making this up, young Tarly. The Citadel remains well informed on the happenings of the Seven Kingdoms. Now that a Targaryen with a dragon has emerged on this side of the narrow sea, danger awaits your friend. There are enemies hidden in shadows that would like to see the Targaryens fail and remain as a memory in pages of a book. Your friend is in grave danger." I don't. Archmaester, this is a lot to take in." He stuttered, struggling to understand how his entire worldview was flipped in the span of a single conversation. Marwyn merely shook his head and placed a hand on Sam's shoulder. "You mentioned an enemy from beyond the Wall, didn't you? I gather this why you were searching for dragon glass deposits in Westeros." "Yes." "How did you?" he asked, but was once again easily surprised by the Archmaester's answer. "It doesn't matter. What matters is that we must take our leave. Everything you need is with me, packed and ready. But if we are to reach your friend in time, we need to leave today itself." "I can't just leave the Citadel." "Why not? Is it because of that woman and child? Then you may stop worrying. They are ready to move on a moment's notice. You know what is coming from beyond the Wall, and do you think these ignorant buffoons in the Citadel, who are blinded by their arrogance and blind beliefs, will be of any help?" Marwyn shook his head before tightening his grip on Sam's shoulder. "If you want to make a difference in this war, come with me now, or you can stay here and be another grey rat. I have this letter." Sam trailed off when he was on the receiving end of a glare from the Archmaester. "It is important. It is meant for Jon. It would help him locate the dragon glass deposit in the north," he explained hastily. "Then we shall send a raven shortly before our departure. Are you coming or not, young Tarly?" In the end, Sam didn't need much time to think. He joined the Archmaester in his journey despite his misgivings. There was nothing much the Citadel could offer him anyway. Outside of being trained to handle the ravens, he was pretty much left alone to study by himself. While books certainly did help to expand his knowledge on certain subjects, it could hardly replace hands-on experience. Traveling with an Archmaester who was decorated with many links in the chain was certainly bound to be an experience. Not to mention he had to see with his own eyes whether the Archmaester was speaking the truth about Jon. Spending time with Gilly and Little Sam was an additional perk as far as he was concerned.